Alright, so let's talk about our next topic, which is the while loop. The while loop will allow us to repeat a specific block of code an unknown number of times depending on some condition. So until that condition is met, it's going to run that code over and over and over. And so let's go in program and talk about the syntax involved in writing a while loop. So if you guys could recall, here's an example of an if statement. Just to kind of refresh. So we've got ourselves the keyword if, and then of course we've got the condition. So if 1 equals 2, which we know of course in this case it won't run, we're gonna do everything that is within these two curly braces. So again, this pair of curly braces is the set of code, or the block of code that will run if this condition is true. And then of course we have our else if condition is false, we're going to do something else. So that's our if statement. Let's talk about our while statement. In a similar fashion, the while will use the reserved word while in Java, and then we will need some sort of condition, which are also going to be inside a set of parentheses like so. So condition here, and then the block of code that will run is going to be in this set of curly braces. Run this until condition is false. So essentially what happens is, while this condition is true, whatever that condition may be, the code down here within the curly braces will run over and over and over. So let's give an example of that. So boolean, let's see, blue sky equals true. So here what we can do is, while the sky is blue, let's go ahead and just say, we'll run something like system.out.print sky is blue. So now if you run this, of course, this is an example of an infinite loop, because nothing in this code will ever make this condition false. So again, if we're reading this out loud, this says, while the sky is blue, which we know it is because we set it to true, do this. There's nothing in here that says stop it at some point. And so that's an example of the while loop. Again, we need the keyword while, and then the conditions are in here inside the set of parentheses. Then of course all of the code that will run while that condition is true will be inside the set of curly braces. Remember to indent everything that is inside the while statement. So again, this is indented, even the commenting, the code in here that runs. This statement is indented. So again, that helps with readability, because if I'm reading this, I know that this right here is within this while loop, because of the indentation. And as you get more experience and you look at more code that has been provided for you, you can see that this convention is used by many people. So again, this idea of readability, it helps not just you, but everyone else who might look at your code, who might help you in some, at some point in time. So that's your while loop. So let's see, maybe we could go ahead and do an example where we sum up the numbers. We'll sum up the numbers, let's say 1 through 5. So we'll create a variable, int sum is equal to 0. So this sum variable is going to hold the sum as I'm incrementing through the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, if I'm commenting on what this code does, go ahead and just delete the rest of this because we don't need it. And then I have some number x that starts at 1. In the comments, I'm going to say that, sum up the numbers 1 through 5. In other words, we're going to do 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. So let's go ahead and show you how you can do that with a while statement. So what we're going to do here is, this while loop, it's going to run a block of code which is going to add onto this variable called sum until we are past the number 5. So again, we're only wanting to add the numbers 1 through 5. Therefore, as soon as we hit 6, we want to stop this while loop. And so here what we're going to do is we're going to say while x is less than 6. So while x is less than 6, we know that x starts at 1. What we're going to do is we're going to update the value of sum accordingly. So we'll delete this, and we're going to go sum is equal to the previous sum, of course, plus x. So what's going to happen in the beginning, we have sum is equal to 0, but x is equal to 1. So now we've got 0 plus 1, and so the sum will hold 1. What we need to do now is increment this number x, and we're just going to do that by adding 1 to itself. Increment x to add the next number. So here we're update the value of sum. So the second time around, we know that because we have incremented x is now 2. And so here we're going to check the condition again. So let's just look at how this, flows over and over. And we're going to check whether or not it's true. If the condition is still true, we're still going to run this block of code. So again, we're at 2. Is 2 less than 6? Yes, it is. And so we're going to go, all right, we're going to go sum is equal to sum plus x. Remember that the current value of sum is now at 1. And so now we're going to do 1 plus x. The current value of x at the moment is 2. So now we've got 1 plus 2. So this is the computation that we have done so far in summing up these numbers. So as soon as we have that, now sum is going to hold the value 1 plus 2, which is 3, of course. And then what we're going to do is we're going to increment x again. So since x is at 2, we're going to add 1 to itself. So now x is at 3. And then so on and so forth until you hit 6. And then we're going to check, is 6 less than 6? It is not. Therefore, as soon as that condition is false, we're going to stop running the code that is inside the while loop. To make sure that this is correct, of course, let's go ahead and print out the sum here to make sure that it is the sum of the numbers 1 through 5. Process complete. And for whatever reason, we lost track of a curly brace. So F5 there. So 15, it's claiming that after this while loop, after we've summed up the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, the sum holds a value 15. And so let's just double check. 5 plus 4 is 9, plus 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14, and then plus 1 is 15. And so this while loop, which again computed the sum of the numbers 1 through 5, it did sum them up properly based on this repeated code. So there's an example of a set of code or a block of code that you can use over and over and over. And because you use a while loop, you can have that while loop repeat those set of codes so that you don't have to, repeat or calculate something manually.